The transmission came without warning. It crackled through the deep space relay. A fragile voice tangled in static, trembling with desperation. We beg you. Send soldiers, help us. The plea came from Xyrian, a planet on the brink of annihilation. Its cities were burning, its skies blackened by fire, and its people trapped under the relentless assault of the Xanthi Armada. Entire civilizations were being erased, and in the darkness of the cosmos only one hope remained: humanity. The message reached Earth's High Council in the dead of night. Screens glowed in silent chambers as officials watched the grainy video feed, alien faces etched with fear, structures collapsing around them. Many in the council were hesitant, their minds racing through possibilities. Should we send soldiers? One asked. We could aid them, yes. But what if it is a trap? What if we lose lives we cannot spare? Another voice, cold and firm, answered. Humanity has faced worse. Countless worlds we've survived, hostile stars we've tamed, empires that have fallen before our resilience. We do not fail and we do not retreat, but we must decide carefully what form our help will take. Debates raged for hours, voices rising and falling, each argument slicing through the tension like a blade. Some feared the consequences of interference. Others demanded action, insisting that the universe should remember Earth as a protector, not a bystander. Yet, behind the debate, one truth resonated among those who had lived in the void long enough to understand it. Humanity did not merely fight wars. Humanity ended them. In hidden orbital docks, preparations were underway. Massive warships designed for nothing less than annihilation emerged from hangars, their hulls glinting under the reflected light of Earth's sun. Weapons bristled along every surface, cannons that could rip through alien shields, missile silos that could level entire continents. Pilots ran drills, their eyes hardened by countless simulations of hellish landscapes, their hands steady, their minds sharper than any AI, sharper than any enemy they were about to face. Captain Mira Harlan, a veteran of interstellar campaigns and a leader known for her ruthlessness and precision, stood on the bridge of the Iron Vengeance, her gaze fixed on the stars beyond the viewport. The council had called them soldiers, a word heavy with expectation, but Harlan knew better. Humanity was not sending soldiers to Xyrian. They were sending executioners. They asked for soldiers, she muttered to her second-in-command, Commander Jace Varen, his face set in grim determination. We'll give them something else entirely. Her voice was calm, almost serene, yet it carried an edge that made the room tense. Around them, the crew moved with quiet efficiency, checking weapons, running diagnostics, preparing for a war they would not simply fight. They would end. Dropships were loaded with specialists trained for infiltration, sabotage, and surgical strikes. Pilots calibrated their targeting systems for precision lethality. Engineers double-checked plasma conduits and medics prepared field units, knowing that few would return unscathed. This mission was not about glory or heroics. It was about inevitability. Humanity did not negotiate with threats. Humanity did not bargain. Humanity eradicated them. Below the orbital docks, Earth's cities continued their quiet rhythm, oblivious to the storm about to erupt across the galaxy. Humanity had lived in this quiet determination for centuries. They had survived deadly plagues, environmental collapse, hostile invasions, and cosmic disasters. Every hardship had forged them into something the universe could not ignore. They were not perfect, they were not polite, but they were unstoppable. Harlan walked through the crew quarters, passing soldiers, engineers, and pilots. Each person carried the weight of what was to come, but none wavered. Their training had honed them into instruments of precision and resolve. Remember, she said softly, addressing the group in the central chamber. They asked for soldiers. We're not here to be polite. We're here to finish what they cannot. We are the executioners, and this galaxy will remember our names, not because of mercy, but because of inevitability. The fleet launched as the twin suns of Earth set over the horizon, casting long shadows across the hangars. Ships moved in synchronized harmony, engines humming with barely restrained power. The humans did not shout, they did not cheer. Their determination was silent, their purpose clear. Every ship, every weapon, every mind aboard the fleet had one shared objective: reach Xyrian and leave nothing that could threaten it or them again. As they entered the void, the message from Xyrian echoed in their minds, a haunting plea that would guide every action. Send soldiers, help us. The aliens had no idea what awaited them. Humanity's soldiers would have fought alongside them, defended them, perhaps offered advice and tactics. But humanity's executioners did not fight alongside anyone. They ended threats swiftly, decisively, and mercilessly. Harlan stood once more on the bridge, staring into the infinite darkness. They will remember Earth, she whispered. Not as allies, not as friends, but as a force they can never challenge. We do not ask permission. We do not show mercy. We are inevitable. Below, the fleet aligned its trajectory toward Zirion, engines glowing, weapons primed. Humanity had been called to action, but the galaxy would soon understand the difference between soldiers and executioners. And when they arrived, there would be no debate, no hesitation, no escape. Only the cold, unyielding power of human resolve, unleashed for the first time in a system that had dared to beg for aid. The call for help had been answered. But not in the way anyone expected. The human fleet emerged from the void like predators stepping into a clearing. Zirion's orbit came into view. A planet scarred by fire, smoke rising from every major city, rivers glowing red with molten metal, and skies filled with the wreckage of Xanthi warships. From above, it looked like a world dying, yet humans saw something else. A planet still worth saving, a chance to impose order where chaos reigned. The aliens below had no idea what approached. For generations they had fought wars, conquered worlds, and wiped out civilizations with impunity. They had hoped Earth would send soldiers, trained and cautious, soldiers who could be guided and managed. They imagined humans fighting politely, respecting their technology, working alongside them to repel the Xanthi. They were wrong. Humanity never fought politely. Humanity never asked permission. The first engagement began without warning. Xanthi patrol ships spotted the Earth fleet and opened fire, confident that their superior numbers would crush anything in their path. They had studied human military history and assumed humans were just another species, strong, adaptable, but ultimately predictable. They were about to learn that humans were something entirely different. Plasma beams cut through the vacuum, striking at the Earth fleet. But the humans moved with almost supernatural precision. Cannons rotated, shields pulsed, and missiles adjusted mid-flight, seeking weak points in Xanthi armor. Entire squadrons were obliterated before they could even fire a second volley. Each human ship moved like a single organism, anticipating enemy maneuvers, striking faster than the aliens' calculations allowed. On the planet's surface, dropships pierced the smoky clouds, disgorging squads trained for destruction. They moved in silence, shadows against the burning horizon. Villages thought abandoned were already under human control. Alien soldiers tried to flee, but every exit had been anticipated, every path blocked. Humanity had predicted them, mapped them, and struck before they could even think to resist. The Xanthi admiral's voice screamed over comm channels, a mixture of rage and disbelief. This cannot be. How can they move so fast? Their ships, their squads. They are everywhere. The humans did not respond with words. They responded with action. Every ship the admiral commanded was torn apart in moments, every base on the planet leveled with surgical precision. Humanity did not need to explain themselves. They needed no threats, no ultimatums. Their presence alone was enough to change the outcome of the war. Captain Mira Harlan watched from the Iron Vengeance, her expression calm, almost serene. Around her, the bridge hummed with controlled chaos. Targeting officers called coordinates, missile volleys launched, and human fighters darted through enemy fire like shadows of death. They expected soldiers, she said softly to Commander Varen. They will receive executioners. On the ground, squads moved through ruined cities with deadly purpose. They bypassed traps, avoided minefields, and neutralized enemies without hesitation. Xanthi soldiers who thought they could hide behind walls, barricades, or ruins discovered too late that human executioners were everywhere. On rooftops, in alleyways, even beneath the rubble, waiting to strike. They could not see them, but they could feel the inevitability of their presence. Entire alien platoons surrendered in disbelief. Not because they were weak, but because they had never faced beings like humans before. Humans did not merely fight. They erased the possibility of resistance. A single squad could take out dozens of enemies without breaking formation. Their weapons were precise, calibrated for maximum effect, and yet they moved like shadows, leaving no unnecessary destruction, no random chaos, only efficiency. The skies over Zirian became a storm of fire. Xanthi capital ships exploded, debris raining down into the atmosphere. Smaller craft disintegrated mid-flight, ripped apart by the relentless human barrage. Every attack was calculated, every movement orchestrated, every strike deadly. Even the alien intelligence could not process it fast enough to adapt. Meanwhile, civilian areas under threat were shielded by human precision. Cities burned less than expected, casualties minimized wherever possible. This was not kindness, it was control. Humans did not destroy indiscriminately. They destroyed effectively. They did not kill randomly. They executed with purpose. Zirian's people saw this, trembling in awe and fear, understanding in an instant that humans were not mere soldiers. They were a force beyond imagination. Harlan's comm channels picked up scattered alien transmissions. "Surrender. We beg you. We can negotiate." The voices were cut short as human firepower removed the threat entirely. No alien fleet commander survived to learn humility. No Xanthi general lived to rebuild their forces. Humans did not celebrate, did not taunt, did not gloat. They moved on, leaving the battlefield ordered, cleared, and silent. Below, Zirian survivors emerged cautiously, peering at the descending humans who had appeared from the void like spirits of judgment. Their uniforms were simple, their weapons terrifyingly advanced, their movements quiet yet purposeful. And in every eye and every stance there was a message. Humanity did not bargain. Humanity did not fail. Humanity did not forgive. Humanity imposed inevitability. The first day of the campaign was over, but the war itself had barely begun. Humans had arrived, not as soldiers who could be guided, instructed, or negotiated with. They had arrived as executioners, instruments of precise, unstoppable judgment. The Xanthi, who had thought themselves invincible, now understood the truth. Mira Harlan looked out over the burning horizon from her ship. The smoke twisted into the night sky like black fingers clawing at the stars. She whispered quietly, almost to herself. They wanted soldiers. They asked for allies. They did not ask for executioners. They will remember us, not for mercy, but for inevitability. And somewhere across Zirian, among the trembling cities and shattered fleets, the first seeds of fear were planted, fear that would grow into legend, that would echo through generations of alien civilizations. Humanity had arrived. The galaxy would never be the same. The battle over Zirian had left scars that would last centuries. Cities smoldered, rivers ran red with molten metal, and the once proud Xanthi fleets were reduced to floating wrecks in orbit. Yet humanity did not pause. They did not celebrate victories. There was no time for pride, no need for glory. Captain Mira Harlan knew the war was far from over. The heart of darkness still pulsed beneath Zirian's surface. The Xanthi had retreated to their capital, a fortress city carved into the planet's volcanic crust. It was a sprawling labyrinth of towers, defensive walls, and hidden bunkers. Alien sensors and automated weapon systems bristled along every edge, but humans moved like a shadow over the battlefield. They had predicted every maneuver, anticipated every trap, and the Xanthi's confidence was crumbling under the weight of inevitability. Dropships streaked down through ash-choked skies, disgorging squads of human specialists. They moved silently among the ruins, blending with smoke and debris. Every squad was a precision instrument, trained to find weaknesses and strike with surgical efficiency. Xanthi patrols thought they were hiding. They thought the humans would hesitate. They were wrong. Humans did not hesitate. Humans did not hesitate. Humans struck like storms of fire, appearing where no one expected, disappearing before anyone could respond. In the heart of the capital, alien leaders convened. Panic dripped from every voice. How can they be everywhere at once? Demanded one. Our fleets. Destroyed. Our armies. Annihilated. A general who had commanded 10 wars shook, unable to comprehend the methodical destruction humans had wrought. The Xanthi intelligence network, once believed infallible, had failed completely. Human strategy was unpredictable, unstoppable, and terrifying. Harlan's squad moved through the central corridors of the city with lethal precision. They bypassed traps, avoided mines, and neutralized automated defenses as though the city itself had opened a path for them. Xanthi scientists, working desperately to complete a doomsday weapon, were unaware that the humans were already inside. They were searching for soldiers, allies, help, but found executioners instead. Without hesitation, human engineers dismantled the weapon systems. Explosives were diffused, energy cores seized, and laboratories left in ash where necessary. Humanity did not destroy without purpose. Each strike had a target, each action a reason. The Xanthi could not understand it. Their doomsday weapons had been designed to crush planets in days, yet humans disarmed them before a single shot was fired. In orbit, Harlan coordinated attacks with her fleet. Human gunships circled the planet like hunting birds of prey, cutting off escape routes and preventing reinforcements from reaching the capital. Alien reinforcements were shredded before they could even drop from orbit. Missiles tore through ships with unerring accuracy. Plasma cannons struck vital engines, and electronic warfare scrambled enemy communications. The Xanthi were surrounded, trapped, and powerless. Still, the humans did not rush to celebrate. They moved with methodical calm, clearing one sector after another. Civilians were guided to safety, remaining shielded from the violence. Syrian's people, peeking from behind rubble, could not believe what they were witnessing. Humanity's soldiers were not soldiers. They were executioners, precise and unstoppable, yet careful not to destroy what did not need destruction. Every action balanced terror with protection. Every strike was calculated, and yet every movement inspired awe. A lone Xanthi admiral attempted to negotiate. We surrender. We will halt our attacks. Please, spare us. His voice trembled across the human comm channels. Harlan's reply was cold, measured, yet calm. Your war is over. Not because you begged, not because you surrendered, but because we are inevitable. Human squads pushed further into the city. They found hidden bunkers, secret armories, and communication nodes designed to call reinforcements from other sectors. Each was neutralized swiftly. Entire regiments of Xanthi soldiers vanished without warning, their fear palpable even before death reached them. Executioners did not linger. They did not give speeches. They acted, and the world around them bent to their will. The Xanthi were terrified not only by human weapons, but by the humans themselves. They moved differently, fought differently, thought differently. They were unpredictable, unstoppable, and utterly focused. The very presence of humans struck a psychological blow more powerful than any missile, more effective than any bomb. Fear spread faster than fire, and soon even the bravest Xanthi realized that resistance was useless. In a command chamber deep within the capital, the remaining alien leaders huddled. They had lost their fleets, their cities, and their armies. Their doomsday weapons were gone. Their soldiers had been erased. We have underestimated them, one admitted, voice shaking. They are something beyond anything we have faced. Harlan moved among the streets, standing for a brief moment at the top of a ruined tower. Smoke swirled around her, and the cries of terrified and awed aliens reached her ears. Yet she did not flinch. Her crew did not hesitate. Humanity's methodical march of destruction and protection continued. They were precise, merciless, and yet bound by purpose. They were the unstoppable executioners, the difference between chaos and order, terror and salvation. As night fell over the burning city, Harlan's eyes reflected the flames below. We do not fight to be remembered, she whispered. We fight because it must be done. We do not wait for mercy. We do not ask for forgiveness. We are inevitability, and this galaxy will learn it soon enough. From the shadows of the ruined city, Xyrian survivors looked on in awe and fear. They had asked for soldiers, allies who could help them defend their homes. Instead, they had been delivered humans who would not only destroy their enemies, but impose an order so absolute, so terrifying, that the Xanthi would never return, and that Xyrian itself would remember the name of humanity forever. The heart of darkness had been reached, and humanity had not faltered. The Xanthi forces had begun to realize the full scope of their mistake. Their fleets were shattered, their cities in ruins, and their armies scattered across Xyrian's surface like broken toys. Panic rippled through their ranks, and desperation sharpened every decision. In a final, desperate attempt to regain control, the Xanthi assembled a massive flagship, a fortress of death, armed with weapons capable of annihilating entire continents. It would be their last hope, their final strike against the humans who had humiliated them. The flagship emerged from orbit, engines blazing, cutting through the void like a blade of vengeance. Its massive guns powered up, beams of destructive energy charging to pierce the human fleet. Every alien officer assumed that Earth's forces would panic, would scatter in fear, and the flagship would crush them before any resistance could form. They were wrong. Captain Mira Harlan stood on the bridge of the Iron Vengeance, her eyes calm, reflecting the fires of battle below. Around her, the human fleet moved with practiced precision. Targeting officers calculated trajectories, missile arrays hummed to life, and the electronic warfare teams prepared to scramble the. Harlan moved through the city's center, observing the aftermath with a calm, analytical eye. The fires reflected in her visor, the echoes of explosions still ringing faintly through the streets, and the whispers of the survivors reached her ears. She did not flinch. She did not hesitate. Humanity's work was far from over, but the largest battles had already been won. Every Xanthi soldier, every hidden weapon, every potential source of rebellion had been addressed. From orbit, human gunships scanned the horizon. Their shadows fell across the devastated city, a reminder that no one could escape the reach of the executioners. Even the most determined Xanthi, who tried to flee or hide, were intercepted swiftly. Humans did not need to chase. They were everywhere, precise, coordinated, and unavoidable. In the command chambers beneath the ruins of the Xanthi capital, the alien leaders began to realize the full extent of their defeat. They do not fight like other species, one whispered, voice shaking with terror. They do not bargain. They do not hesitate. They are inevitable. And they were right. Humanity had not arrived as allies or soldiers. They had arrived as E-flagship systems. The humans did not hesitate. They did not flinch. They met the Xanthi monstrosity with a steady, relentless determination that the aliens could neither predict nor comprehend. The flagship fired its first volley. Beams of energy cut across space, striking empty coordinates. Humanity's ships shifted, weaving through the onslaught like shadows in a storm. Missiles from the human fleet tore through the flagships, shields, striking engines, weapon arrays, and control cores with unerring accuracy. Explosions ripped through the alien vessel as if it were made of paper, and its crew panicked in disbelief. Their doomsday weapon, the supposed pinnacle of Xanthi power, was failing before it could even fully fire. On the planet below, human dropships, coordinated strikes against remaining Xanthi positions. Every squad moved like an extension of the fleet above, cutting off escape routes, dismantling communications, and striking vital points with surgical precision. Alien soldiers who had survived previous battles found themselves trapped once more, cornered by humans on land, in the air, and above in orbit. Every strategy the Xanthi tried was anticipated, countered, and destroyed. The flagship's command center scrambled to issue orders. Target their leader. Focus fire. They cannot withstand this. But the humans had anticipated it. Harlan's voice came across the comm in calm, almost polite tones, cutting through the panic. Your war ends now. Not because you surrendered, not because you begged, but because we are inevitable. Missiles slammed into the flagship's hull, ripping it apart section by section. Plasma cannons fired from multiple angles, striking engines and shielding systems in perfect synchronization. The flagship shuddered under the relentless assault, alarms screaming through its corridors. Crew members ran frantically trying to stabilize the systems, but it was too late. The humans moved with an unrelenting rhythm of death. Each strike, calculated to maximize destruction and minimize chaos elsewhere. On the surface, human squads pushed deeper into Xanthi strongholds. They found hidden weapon caches, secret laboratories, and elite guards prepared for last-stand battles. But the humans were everywhere, striking from shadows, rooftops, and ruins simultaneously. Entire squads vanished in minutes, unable to comprehend the precision, speed, and ruthlessness of their enemies. The Xanthi had expected soldiers. They had received executioners. As the flagship began to break apart, the remaining Xanthi commanders realized the futility of their plan. We cannot hold. Their fleet, their squads, they are unstoppable. One shouted, voice shaking with terror. Panic spread like wildfire, and even those who survived the initial bombardment abandoned their posts, fleeing where they could. But there was nowhere to run. Humanity had sealed the planet, trapped the remnants, and ensured that resistance would be extinguished completely. From the bridge of the Iron Vengeance, Harlan observed the chaos with quiet satisfaction. She did not smile. She did not cheer. Humanity did not celebrate destruction. It was a duty, a responsibility. Every life spared from indiscriminate death, every threat neutralized, every enemy given a chance to surrender and fail, reinforced the inevitability of human power. Humanity was precise, calculated, unstoppable. The flagship finally exploded in a catastrophic fireball, debris raining down across the orbital battlefield. Smaller Xanthi ships attempting to flee were picked off with surgical strikes. On the UAE surface, human squads moved through the ruins of Xanthi fortresses, neutralizing remaining threats. The capital city, once thought impregnable, now lay in complete control of humans. The enemy was broken. The planet's skies and streets were silent, save for the hum of human ships and the footsteps of executioners moving methodically through their conquered ground. Harlan's voice came across the comm once more, steady, firm, and unforgettable. Your hope was fragile. Your fleets were scattered. Your weapons were nothing before us. The galaxy will remember this day, not as the day you fought humans, but as the day humans arrived and ended your war. Your flagship, your armies, your pride, all destroyed. Your war is over. Zyrian civilians, peeking from shelters and rubble, stared in awe at the fleet above. They had asked for soldiers to defend them, for allies to fight alongside them. They had been delivered something far more terrifying, far more powerful. Humans who acted not for glory, not for orders, but with a relentless will to end threats completely. The executioners had come, and with them peace, strange, terrifying, undeniable, had arrived. In the quiet that followed, Harlan reflected on the battle. Humanity had proven itself again, not as soldiers, but as executioners. They did not rely on luck, hope, or mercy. They relied on preparation, precision, and the unyielding will to act where others hesitated. The Xanthi, who had considered themselves masters of war, had learned a painful truth. Humanity was inevitable. The turning point had been reached. The flagship destroyed. The enemy broken. The galaxy would now begin to whisper the names of Earth's executioners. And Captain Mira Harlan, watching the flames of the battle fade, knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity had arrived. The Xanthi would never forget, and neither would the rest of the stars. Shattered landscapes. Fires burned in patches, and the acrid scent of ash and molten metal filled the air. But amidst the destruction, a strange calm had settled. Humanity did not celebrate. They moved with methodical precision, ensuring the war had truly ended, leaving no threats behind. This was not vengeance, it was reckoning. Captain Mira Harlan and her executioners advanced steadily through the streets, boots echoing over cracked pavement, their presence both terrifying and protective. The Xanthi forces had been broken, their massive flagship destroyed, their armies scattered, their cities in ruins. The remnants of their leadership were hiding, desperate and frightened, hoping for mercy they had never earned. Yet humanity approached not with cruelty, but with calculated justice. Civilians emerged cautiously from shelters, eyes wide with a mixture of awe and fear. They had begged for soldiers, allies who could defend them. They had been delivered something far more powerful, humans who demanded order, who ended threats completely, who protected life not out of pity but out of necessity. Villagers whispered among themselves, speaking the names of humans they had only seen from above. Harlan, Varen, the crews of the Iron Vengeance and the other fleet vessels. Humans had become legends overnight. Dropships descended silently, unloading, squads into ruined districts to secure areas that still held danger. Automated defense systems, still active from the Xanthi's desperate attempts, were dismantled or neutralized. Bombs and traps, left to kill whoever came next, were disarmed. Every action was precise, every movement deliberate. Humanity's executioners did not rush. They did not celebrate. They ensured that nothing could rise to threaten Zyrian again. Meanwhile, the Xanthi survivors began to understand the futility of resistance. Leaders emerged from hiding, trembling, voices quivering as they attempted negotiation. Please spare us and we surrender and or we yield. They pleaded, their pride shattered, their forces destroyed. Harlan's response came over comm channels, calm, unwavering, and final. Your war is over. Not because you surrendered. Not because you begged. Because we were inevitable. The aliens shivered at the words. They had expected mercy, guidance, a partnership. They had received humanity itself, relentless, precise, and uncompromising. Every threat they had posed had been neutralized. Every plan they had devised had failed. Even their most dangerous doomsday weapons had been dismantled, taken apart piece by piece before they could be used. They had underestimated humans. They had assumed humans were soldiers. They were wrong. On the streets, human squads worked with exacting care. Injured civilians were guided to safety. Structural collapses were reinforced. Fire hazards contained. The aliens began to witness an almost paradoxical truth. Humanity could be both terrifying and protective. They could destroy an army in minutes and yet save the very people the enemy had sought to exterminate. The message was clear. Humans acted with purpose, not whim. Humanity did not kill for sport. Humanity killed to end threats, to impose order, and to protect where protection was needed. Executioners, a force designed not to negotiate, not to participate, but to end the conflict. With certainty. Their precision, speed, and resolve had erased any chance of future rebellion. Their message was clear to the survivors. Earth's humans protected life, but only by imposing order through inevitability. As the dust settled, Harlan's voice echoed through the comms to both her fleet and the planet's inhabitants. Zirian is safe, not because we were asked to protect it, but because we acted. Your cities, your people, your homes, you may rebuild. But know this. No force that threatens this planet will ever survive while humans stand in the stars. This is not mercy. This is certainty. Civilians slowly emerged from shelters, looking up at the ships above and the squads moving among them. Their fear was mingled with awe. They had witnessed a force unlike any other. Humans who acted not out of glory or desire for recognition, but out of necessity, precision, and unshakable will. They began to understand why the galaxy would remember this day forever. Not as a day of battle, but as the day humans arrived and ended a war before it could continue. In the quiet aftermath, Harlan allowed herself a brief moment of reflection. Humanity had arrived. They had destroyed, neutralized, and protected in equal measure. They had fulfilled the plea for soldiers in a way the aliens had never expected. They had become executioners, and the galaxy would never forget. Above Zirian, the human fleet held formation, silent and imposing, watching over the planet they had saved. Below, the survivors began to rebuild, cautious, aware, and forever changed. Humanity had imposed an order they could not challenge, had given protection they could not earn, and had delivered justice with precision. The reckoning was complete. The Xanthi were broken. Zirian was safe, and humanity had proven once more that when they answered a call for help, the universe received not soldiers but executioners. Zirian was quiet now, but not silent. The smoke of burning cities had begun to clear, revealing the scars left by the Xanthi invasion. The ground was littered with shattered weapons, crumpled armor, and remnants of alien technology. Yet among the destruction, life persisted. Civilians slowly emerged from shelters, cautiously stepping into the streets, their eyes wide with awe and fear. They had asked for soldiers to protect them, but what they received was far more than they could have imagined. Humans, precise and unstoppable, who acted as executioners to end all threats. Captain Mira Harlan moved through the streets alongside her squads, surveying the aftermath. Her boots clicked against cracked pavement as she passed ruined buildings and scorched ruins. Each of her crew operated with quiet discipline, clearing the remnants of resistance, dismantling traps, and neutralizing any lingering threats. No alien soldier, no matter how cunning or desperate, could escape the methodical reach of humanity. Every corner, every building, every ruin was secured. Humanity did not leave loose ends. Humanity did not fail. Above, human gunships circled in silent vigilance, engines humming like a heartbeat over the planet. Their shadows fell across Zirian's streets, a constant reminder that humanity's presence was absolute. Even those aliens who had survived the initial battles understood that they could not flee, could not hide, and could not regroup. The humans had erased the possibility of retaliation. Their reach was inescapable. The Xanthi survivors began to emerge from hiding, trembling and broken. Leaders, scientists, and soldiers who had once commanded fleets now knelt before humans, pleading for mercy. "We surrender, we yield. Please spare us," they begged. Their voices were desperate, shaking, barely holding together against the fear that had taken root in their hearts. Harlan's response was calm, precise, and unwavering. "Your war is over," she said. "Not because you surrendered, not because you begged, but because we were inevitable." The words echoed through the comm channels and across the streets. The aliens could not understand it. They had never faced an enemy like humans. They had expected negotiation, strategy, compromise. Instead, they were met with inevitability, relentless, calculated, and terrifying. Humanity did not fight to show dominance. Humanity fought to end threats and protect life wherever possible. The paradox was impossible for the Xanthi to grasp. Humans were both terrifying in war and protective of life. Human squads began to organize survivors, guiding them to safety, ensuring the wounded were treated, and preventing chaos from taking hold. Fire hazards were contained. Collapsed structures were marked and emergency shelters were established. Civilians, peeking from behind rubble and ruined walls, saw the humans acting with purpose. They did not rejoice in destruction. They methodically neutralized threats while preserving what could be saved. Humanity had arrived not just as executioners but as guardians. Harlan moved to the central plaza of the city, where the remaining alien leaders had gathered. Their armor was torn, their faces pale, their pride shattered. They could not look her in the eye. We underestimated you," one whispered, voice trembling. "We thought humans were soldiers. We were wrong." Harlan's gaze was steady. "We are not soldiers. We are executioners. Your war is over because we chose to act. Remember this day. Remember it well. Humanity does not forgive carelessly, and humanity does not fail." The survivors of Xirian whispered among themselves. They had seen the human strength, their precision, and their discipline. They had watched fleets fall, cities cleared of threats, and entire armies erased without hesitation. Yet they also saw life preserved, order restored, and protection offered to the innocent. Humanity had not arrived for glory. They had arrived for inevitability. The paradox struck them deeply. These humans could destroy entire armies, yet they saved their people. They could annihilate worlds, yet they offered protection to the defenseless. From orbit, human vessels monitored the planet, ensuring no Xanthi remnants could escape. Any ship attempting to flee was intercepted instantly. Every route, every sector, every possible hiding place had been anticipated. Humanity's reach was absolute. The galaxy would learn from this day that Earth did not send soldiers. Earth sent something far more terrifying. Executioners whose will could not be defied. Harlan stood on the bridge of the Iron Vengeance, watching the cities below. Flames flickered in the distance, shadows of a battle that had changed the course of history. She allowed herself a quiet moment to reflect. They had arrived, fought, and ended a war in ways that no one on Xirian, or anywhere else in the galaxy, could have imagined. Humanity had fulfilled the request for help, but in a way that left the Xanthi broken, Xirian protected, and the universe aware that humans could not be underestimated. Even as survivors began to rebuild, stories spread quickly. Children whispered tales of humans descending from the stars like unstoppable forces of judgment. Parents told of the precision, the calm, and the terrifying strength of those who had ended the Xanthi threat. Harlan's name, along with her crew, would become legend. Not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as the ultimate protectors. Humans who acted decisively to end threats while preserving life. The Xanthi survivors, now under human control, realized the extent of their defeat. Their fleets destroyed, their armies annihilated, and their leadership humbled. They understood that they could never challenge humanity again. Across Xirian, fear and respect mingled, creating a balance that ensured peace, not because humans demanded it, but because they had proven their inevitability. Harlan's voice echoed once more over the comm channels. "Xirian is safe. The Xanthi cannot rise again. Any force that threatens this planet or its people will meet the same fate. Remember this. Humanity does not fight for glory. Humanity fights because it must. And when humans act, the universe should remember, we are inevitable." The planet below, scarred but alive, seemed to breathe again. Fires were being extinguished, survivors cared for, and order slowly returned. Humanity had not merely fought a battle. They had delivered judgment, imposed protection, and ensured that Zarian would remain free. They had not been soldiers. They had been executioners, guardians, and legends. And somewhere across the galaxy, whispers began to spread. Earth had answered the call for help. Not with soldiers, not with negotiation, but with humans. Executioners who would protect life, destroy threats, and leave no doubt of their inevitability. Zarian would never forget. The Xanthi would never return, and humanity had proven once more that when they intervened, the stars themselves trembled. The war was over. Zarian, once a planet of smoke, fire, and fear, had begun to breathe again. Ruins were still scattered across the cities, and rivers ran red from the devastation the Xanthi had brought. Yet life persisted. People emerged from shelters, eyes wide with disbelief, hearts heavy with awe. They had asked for soldiers, for defenders to protect them. What had arrived was something far beyond their imagination. Humans, executioners who could destroy entire armies and fleets, yet still preserve life where it mattered most. Captain Mira Harlan stood on the bridge of the Iron Vengeance, gazing down at the recovering planet. Her eyes reflected the fires, the rubble, and the quiet determination of humans who had fought with precision and unyielding will. Around her, crews moved silently, checking systems, securing communications, and preparing for departure. They did not linger in celebration. Humanity did not fight for glory. Humanity acted because it must. The Xanthi survivors had been rounded up, their leaders trembling before the humans who had shattered their fleets and annihilated their armies. Some wept openly. Some whispered promises of surrender, while others stared in disbelief at the power that had erased their threats with such inevitability. Harlan allowed them no false hope. She was calm, steady, unshakable. "Your war is over," she said, her voice firm. "Not because you begged, not because you surrendered, because we were inevitable." Across the planet, human squads helped civilians begin the slow process of rebuilding. Structures were stabilized, fires extinguished, and survivors guided to safety. Harlan's soldiers moved with quiet efficiency, providing order, protection, and reassurance where chaos had reigned. Zarian's people looked on with awe, realizing that humanity's power was not cruelty. It was controlled, deliberate, and ultimately protective. The paradox struck them deeply. Humans could destroy entire armies and still save life. They could impose fear and inspire hope in equal measure. From orbit, human gunships patrolled silently, shadows cast across the recovering cities. Their presence was a constant reminder to all. No threat could survive where humans chose to act. Even the Xanthi, huddled in their shattered command centers, understood this truth. Humanity had delivered justice without compromise, eradicated threats without hesitation, and left behind a planet free from fear. Their methods were ruthless, but their purpose was undeniable. Harlan watched as the last Xanthi ships attempting escape were intercepted and destroyed. No vessel would leave Zarian to threaten another world. The humans had acted not out of vengeance, but out of necessity. They had given the Xanthi no chance to rise again, no opportunity to recover, no hope that resistance could continue. In the wake of their execution, order prevailed, and yet, despite their power, the humans did not linger in triumph. They were guardians, not conquerors. When the last threats were neutralized and the planet stabilized, Harlan gave the order to prepare for departure. Ships aligned in formation, engines humming quietly, waiting to leave the system they had saved. The humans would not stay. They never stayed. They acted, they imposed order, and then they moved on, leaving legends in their wake. Below, Zarian's people whispered stories of the humans who had descended from the stars. Children told tales of fleets moving like shadows, squads striking with precision, and a captain whose calm voice cut through panic and despair. Parents spoke of humans who had saved their homes while destroying the armies that sought to destroy them. Across the cities, awe and fear intertwined. Humanity had become legend in a single day. Harlan looked once more at the planet she had helped save. She felt the weight of their actions, the responsibility of the power humanity wielded, and the certainty that the galaxy had learned a lesson it would not forget. "We were never just soldiers," she whispered, almost to herself. "We were what the galaxy needed. Executioners, guardians, inevitable." As the fleet moved away from Zarian, leaving the recovering planet behind, the Xanthi survivors were left to ponder their defeat. Across the galaxy, news would spread. Earth had answered the call for help. Not with soldiers, not with negotiation, but with humans. Executioners who acted decisively without hesitation, leaving no doubt of their power. Their legacy was carved not just into the ruins of the battlefield, but into the hearts of all who had witnessed it. Harlan and her crew did not seek praise. They did not expect celebration. They had acted because they must, because humanity could not allow injustice or destruction to continue unchecked. And yet their actions inspired both fear and hope. Fear among those who would threaten life, hope among those who needed protection. Humanity's presence had become a force the galaxy could not ignore, a standard of power and precision unlike any other. Decades later, stories of Earth's executioners would be told on Xyrian. Children would grow up hearing the legends of humans who arrived from the stars, fleets bristling with weapons, squads precise and unstoppable, a captain whose calm determination ended a war in a single day. The planet would rebuild, forever aware that their survival had depended on humans who did not negotiate, did not hesitate, and did not fail. Harlan finally allowed herself to rest, gazing out at the distant stars. Somewhere in the darkness, alien warlords whispered warnings. Never call Earth for soldiers. If humans arrive, they will not come to fight alongside you. They will come to end threats. And when they do, mercy is no longer a question. Humanity had risen not as participants in galactic politics, but as executioners, guardians, and legends. The galaxy would remember this day. The universe would remember. And Xyrian, a planet saved against impossible odds, would never forget the humans who had answered the call. Not with soldiers, but with inevitability. Captain Mira Harlan looked toward the void. "We move on," she said quietly. "But the galaxy will never forget who we are." And with that, the human fleet vanished into the stars, leaving behind a world free, an enemy broken, and a legacy that would echo through the cosmos forever.